The sun was dipping low over the Montana plains, painting the horizon in streaks of gold and crimson as the wind carried the scent of dust and wild sage across the valley. On that lonely stretch of land stood a woman with eyes full of storm and sorrow. Clara Whitmore, the daughter of a runaway outlaw and the town's whispered curse. Her blue dress fluttered against her worn boots, her trembling hands clutching the handle of an old leather satchel that held the remnants of her broken life. Behind her the ranch stretched for miles, iron fences, grazing cattle, and the steady sound of hooves beating against the earth. And there, waiting for her at the barn's shadow, stood the man everyone called the Stone Rancher, Luke McAllister. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and carved by the kind of silence that comes from years of holding too much inside. His hat shadowed the sharp lines of his face, but his eyes, those steady, brown eyes, watched her with something fierce and unyielding. Clara's heart pounded as she took a hesitant step toward him. She had been sent there by necessity, not by love. The rumors about her father's crimes had left her without a home, without safety, and in a world where a woman alone didn't last long. Luke had offered her a place, not out of pity, but out of something she couldn't name. Now standing before him, she whispered the only truth she had left, her voice cracking like the wind through dry grass. "You'll regret choosing me." Luke's jaw tightened. For a moment he said nothing, letting her words hang between them like a challenge neither wanted to accept. Then he stepped closer, the ground crunching under his boots, and tilted her chin up until her frightened eyes met his. "Darling," he said softly, with a warmth that burned more than fire, "I already regret waiting this long." The world seemed to still in that moment. Clara wanted to look away, to run, to hide from the promise in his voice, but I couldn't. His gaze didn't pity her. It claimed her. It said he saw the storms she carried and still chose to walk through them. Luke took the satchel from her, trembling hands, and nodded toward the open ranch house behind him. "This place don't need perfect people, Clara, just honest ones. You'll find both trouble and peace here if you stay." That night, Clara lay awake in the small guest room he'd given her. The bed smelled faintly of cedar and smoke. The window opened to the sounds of night creatures whispering through the prairie. Downstairs, she could hear Luke moving, slow, methodical, like a man who found comfort in work. She couldn't understand him. Why would a man like him, a respected rancher, with half the county singing his praises, choose someone like her? A woman marked by her past, whispered about in saloons, avoided in church pews. But when morning came, she found herself outside before sunrise, watching him saddle a chestnut horse. The sky was pale and soft, the world quiet. Luke looked up at her and smiled slightly. Coffee's on the stove. Thought you might want to help me mend the east fence today." Clara blinked, startled. No man had ever asked her to help, only ordered her around. She hesitated, then nodded, following him out into the open field. The day passed with sweat, dust, and few words, but each glance, each small smile, began to chip away at the walls she had built around her heart. Over the weeks, she started to see the man behind the legend, the one who worked harder than any of his men, who took his meals on the porch instead of the parlor, who fixed fences at dawn and played the harmonica at dusk. Luke had his own scars, though he never spoke of them. The way his eyes went distant when thunder rolled told her enough. He carried his ghosts in silence just as she did. And maybe that was why he had chosen her, not because she was broken, but because she was real. One evening as they sat by the fire, Clara told him the truth about her father, how he'd been killed for stealing from a powerful landowner, how she'd been blamed by association, and how every door had closed to her since. Luke listened without interruption, his thumb absently tracing the rim of his coffee mug. When she finished, she waited for judgment, for the recoil she'd seen in others. But instead he said, "Then it sounds like the world's been wrong about you too." She looked at him, stunned, as he added quietly, "Let's give them something else to talk about." That night something changed. Clara began to trust again, not just him, but herself. She found joy in simple things, the smell of rain, the warmth of the kitchen, the laughter of ranch hands who treated her like family. Yet beneath it all, a quiet fear lingered. The past had a way of finding those who tried to outrun it. And sure enough, one evening, as the sun bled red across the plains, 3 riders approached the ranch, men she recognized instantly. They'd worked with her father once. Ruthless men with more whiskey than mercy in their veins. Her hands shook as she watched from the porch, heart pounding. Luke stepped beside her, his presence steady as stone. "You know them?" he asked. She nodded. "They'll bring trouble." Luke adjusted his hat, eyes narrowing. "Then let's meet it together." When the riders dismounted, their smirks carried the weight of old debts. The leader, a scarred man with a crooked grin, spat into the dirt. "Didn't think we'd find you hiding under some rancher's roof. Clara, guess you forgot what your daddy owed us." Before Clara could speak, Luke stepped forward, his voice low and dangerous. "This ranch doesn't pay for another man's sins." His hand hovered near his gun, calm but ready. The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. Then with a tense breath, the riders backed off, muttering curses as they rode away into the darkening dusk.